Hello everybody. Today in math we are going to be learning some new formulas to find area and perimeter. Now the steps will be all the same, it'll just be kind of put into a formula where it might make it a little bit quicker. So today we're going to be doing our lesson a little bit different. I don't have PowerPoint slides, I'm not doing it on my computer. I have a homemade document camera because I ordered one on Amazon a couple weeks ago and it came missing a part. So I returned it and now it's delayed shipping. So I'm not sure when I will get it. But so bear with me. We have a crate and I'm going to have our workbook on the inside and you can follow along with me. So we are looking class activity D-3, page 315. I believe we have 315 through page 318. So let's get started. It's kind of a lengthy lesson today, so hopefully you can keep up. Remember, you can pause at any time if you need extra time, and that is just fine. So directions at the top. Find the area of a rectangle. We have been doing this. We learned that in our last lesson. Find the area of each rectangle. Draw the square units inside rectangles 1 and 2. Label your answer in square units. Write an equation to show how the length of the adjacent sides and area are related. So again, adjacent sides are just the sides that are touching. They have them labeled for us already. Let's go back to our directions. Find our first job. Draw the square units inside rectangles 1 and 2. So you can do that. You can use a ruler or straight edge if you need. Write lightly in case you need to erase. Give you a little extra time in case you aren't quite finished yet. Okay, so now that we have our first job done, it asks us to label your answer in square units because we're finding the area, and then write an equation to show how the length of the adjacent sides and area are related. So let's first think about our area. What is our area of this rectangle? Well, I see a pattern that there's 2 square units, so I'm just going to count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I know that my area is 12 centimeters because that's our unit squared. Or I can write 12 square centimeters. Either one works. Okay, write an equation to show how the length of the adjacent sides and area are related. So what did we have to do with the lengths of the adjacent sides to get our area? If you said multiply them together, you are exactly right. So we're just going to show that they are multiplied together. Okay, so you can do that for this rectangle as well as this rectangle. Go ahead and pause it and finish it and press play and we will keep going. All right, let's look at page 316. Hopefully I can get it in here. Okay. On this page, we are talking about a formula for the area of a rectangle. Now we have some new vocabulary, some vocabulary words that we have not heard yet. So up here, we have base, height, formula. So as you can see on my page, they're highlighted. On yours, it'll just be different shades of gray. Let's focus on this shaded box up on top. You can call the bottom side of a rectangle the base. They show an example in this picture. So the bottom side of the rectangle is called the base. You can call one of the adjacent sides the height. So either side, sometimes it helps if we just label the left side because we read from left to right. So that is called the height because that is how high our rectangle is. So those are our first 2 words. Number 4 here. Look at your work in exercises 1 through 3. Complete this rule for finding the area of a rectangle using the words height and base. So they just wanted us to look back to this page and think about how we could use a formula to find the area. Right here, the area of a rectangle is, and they want us to complete the sentence. So the area of the rectangle is, if we think about our words base and height, how do we find our area? We multiply them. So let's finish this sentence. The area of a rectangle is the length of the base I'm going to jump down underneath so I have room to write. The length of the base times the height. Okay, so that's all it is. The area of a rectangle is the length of the base times the height. So whatever our measurements are in there. Let's jump to number 5. Fill in the blanks with words to create a shorter form of the rule for the area of the rectangle. So instead of writing all this out, we're just going to create a formula. And it tells us down here, a formula is an equation with variables that describe a rule. Variables mean letters that represent numbers. So here we go. We have blank equals blank times blank. Ooh. So the area, we're going to use a capital A for our area. Remember, we talked about area as the length of the base times the height. Let's use a lowercase b. We're just going to write base here. Okay, times height. You can fill this in with me. I suppose I should write area. Area equals base times height. Okay, there's our formula. Now, on number 6, it's asking us to use the letter capital A for area, lowercase b for the length of the base, and lowercase h for the height to write a formula for the area of a rectangle. So we're going to take this and just put it into letters so it's a lot shorter. So capital A for area, lowercase b for base, lowercase h for height. So if we write it all together, it will look like A equals B. We're going to space it out a little bit times h so that we know that this x means to multiply. Okay, let's put this formula into action. Make sure you can see it. Number 7, a rectangle has a base of 7 feet and a height of 3 feet. Whoa! It's telling us what our measurements are for base and height. Let's draw it out. Rectangle, a base of 7 feet. Make sure we put our label, our unit. Height of 3 feet. Okay, fill that in. Use the formula from exercise 6 to find the area of this rectangle. Remember to include the correct unit in your answer. Our unit will be feet. So let's start out with this first. That's our first step. A equals B times H. I'm going to circle it, showing that that's our first step. And since we know our measurements, we're just going to substitute our measurements for our variables. Area equals the length of our base, 7, times the length, or the height, I should say. 7 times 3. And what is 7 times 3? 21. And our last step is to include our unit. Area equals 21 feet squared. Okay, you'll need 3 steps for these. Go ahead and fill that in. And when you're ready, let's talk about perimeter some more. All right, here we go. Perimeter. We know that perimeter is just the distance around a figure. They already have our adjacent sides labeled, so we know exactly what the opposite sides are because they're the same length. So let's find our perimeter for this first shape because they're asking us to find the perimeter of each rectangle. Remember to include the correct units in your answers. We're back to centimeters. Perimeter, we're just adding up the sides. I'm going to put in some extra labels in case that helps. You may do the same. So 7 plus 7 is 14. I'm going to put that down over here to show my work. 4 plus 4 is 8. We're gonna add those together. 14 plus 8 equals, 4 plus 8 is 12, carry our 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 22 centimeters. All right, and you can do the same for 9 and 10. You can go ahead and pause, do those, and then press play again when you're ready. All right, let's jump down to number 11. I should say, if you got 14 centimeters for number 9 and 18 centimeters for number 10, you got it. So back to number 11. Write a formula for finding the perimeter of a rectangle. Use the letter P to represent the perimeter of the rectangle, a capital P, lowercase b to represent the length of the base, and lowercase h to represent the height. So exactly the same variables that we used in area. So let's start out. P for perimeter equals, remember how in area we just did b times h to find our area, but now we're adding them together. So how could we show that? Well, we could say base plus height plus base plus height. That would give us our perimeter because we're just adding them all together. Another way to show this, P equals, now this might be a little bit tricky, but we talked about when we have numbers in parentheses, we need to do those first. Let's have 2 times the base. That means that we would have 2 of these, which is true. We have 2 7s up there, plus 2 times the height, because there's 2 height lengths. Then we would add them together, okay? I'm going to show you on this one exactly what that would mean. So I have P equals 2 times the base plus 2 times the height. I'm going to plug in my numbers. So I have 2 times 7 in parentheses and 2 times 4 in parentheses. I need to solve these multiplication statements first before I can add them together. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 2 times 4 is 8. Then I can add them together. 14 plus 8 is 22 centimeters. Okay, that equation I have 4 jobs. So let's go down to number 12 now. A football field, including the end zones, is shaped like a rectangle. Let's draw it out. With a base of 360 feet and a height of 160 feet. Use a formula to find the perimeter of the field. Which formula do you think would be easier to use for these large numbers? I would probably go with just adding up the sides. So we are going to use P equals B plus H plus B plus H, standing for base and height. That's our first job. Let's plug our numbers in. Our base is 360 plus 160. Okay. I'm going to put them over on the side here. So 360 plus 160. Okay, but we still have our other base and height. So let's plug those numbers in. Same numbers. Okay. Now I need to add these first two together. So 0 plus 0 is 0, 6 plus 6, 12, carry my 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, 4 plus 1 more is 5. 520, that's what our adjacent sides equal for our perimeter. Now, that's exactly what the other sides will have to equal as well. So I'm just going to add itself. And that gives us our perimeter. Okay, P equals 1,040 feet. All right, a little bit more work on that one, but it's just adding together, which we can do. So hopefully you're able to see that and I got that on the camera. All right, let's turn our page once you are there. 2 formulas for the perimeter and area of a square. Okay, I put up on top here just to remind you of area and perimeter of a rectangle, okay? So I have area equals base times height, perimeter equals base plus height plus base plus height, and our 2 times the base plus the 2 times the height. Now a square is a little bit different, and it can be a little bit easier. Our directions: find the perimeter and area of each square. Remember to include the correct units in your answer. We always need to label it with the correct units. So here we go. Perimeter first. We have 2 centimeters for our height, 2 centimeters for our base. Just add them all together. We can count by 2s, right? 2, 4, 6, 8. Our perimeter is 8 centimeters. Area, well, we can either draw in our square units, or we can just use kind of like the idea of our formula and just multiply. 2 times 2 is 4 centimeters square is our area. Okay, you may pause and finish 14 and 15 and press play again, and let's talk about a formula for it. Okay. Here we go. Write a formula, number 16 here. Write a formula for the area of a square and for the perimeter of a square. Let the letter S stand for the length of the side of a side of the square. So we could have our area, capital A. To find the area of a square, all we need to do, we're going to call each of these a side. In a square, all our sides are the same length. So we know that we can just take our side times the side, okay? Another way we could use another formula is area equals 4S. That means 4 times one side because there's 4 sides, okay? It gives us the same, either 4 times 4 or 4 times 4. Okay. The area or the formula for perimeter, we just add up all our sides. So perimeter equals side plus side plus side plus side. There's 4 sides, so 4 S's. An S that represents each side. So again, we're just using the same steps that we use in a rectangle. It just looks a little different when we write a formula for a square. Let's do number 17 together just to try it out. So use your formulas to find the area and perimeter of a square with sides that are 8 feet long. Let's draw it out over here. I'll draw a square as best as I can. And 8 feet long. So I know that I'll have 8 feet here, 8 feet over here. Okay, formula. Let's do area first. I'll give you a little bit of time to finish drawing your square and putting your labels in and your measurements. All right, so area first, we have a capital A. Let's do side times side. There's your first step. Second, area equals 8 times 8. Solve it. 8 times 8, 64. That means that our area is 64 feet squared. Okay, so 3 steps for that one. Let's jump down to perimeter now. Perimeter, side plus side plus side plus side. Fill it in. 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. Now, this is kind of like repeated addition, which is basically multiplication. Okay, so we have 4 groups of 8 here, right? So that'd be like saying 4 times 8. What's 4 times 8? If you said 32, You are right. Or we could take 8 plus 8 is 16. 8 plus 8 is 16. 16 plus 16, we know that. 32. Okay, I'm gonna write down here just because I don't have enough room. You'll have to write kind of small. So our perimeter is 32 feet. All right, hopefully you were able to follow along a little bit better on all of this. And let me know if you have any questions.